You are interested in the unusual, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Martin Willis, your host. Our guest this evening is Jack Brewer. Some of you
Just actually had a comment. I'm calling just to support Jack's assertions that hypnosis isn't any kind of a truth serum type of truth-telling kind of technique. It's a relaxation technique whereby people can retrieve memories, but it doesn't mean that they are necessarily reporting truth. There could be confabulation and a number of other things that can be happening, and it's really important to look at that because this is really critical in the abduction phenomenon is hypnosis is used, and it's really important to understand what it is and what it is not. So I just really am calling to support what Jack is saying, and to also, Jack, I don't know, I am a little familiar with your work on the Hill case. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
I can, Donna. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Yes, and I don't know if you're aware of this, and it's really a pretty critical kind of thing in that case. I know you have mentioned it in some of your work, but I actually had an opportunity to speak with Dr. Simon directly in the 1970s. My brother thought he had some sort of an experience, and I was really concerned for him, and I was seeking help back then without the internet and without a lot of resources. I lived in the Boston area and reached out to Dr. Simon directly and never thought he would call me back, but he in fact did call me back, and I explained what was happening, and he told me that he did not believe in UFOs, flying saucers, did not believe Betty and Barney Hill were abducted, that his hypnosis was used really for treatment of anxiety and trying to reduce the anxiety of something that had happened. He didn't say that they were lying, but it was used as a reduction for anxiety and not a truth-seeking type of a technique. But somehow this has become so here is the huge case of ufology and abductions, and here is the person who worked with them and said, yes, I think something was happening. There was anxiety as the result of, stresses that were going on with the Hills. And he actually, you could never do this now because of HIPAA laws, but he actually gave me some details about what he thought was going on with them psychologically. And I actually became a certified hypnotherapist because I'm very interested in the subject, and I wanted to understand the process of hypnosis. And what I have learned as a certified hypnotherapist is you cannot, the first thing I tell people is because you say it or you might retrieve it, does not make that an actual fact. I make them sign waivers saying that they understand that this might be confabulation, they might be some remnants of dreams and that sort of thing. So it's really, I just wanted to support what you're saying, and this is why it's important to really do the research and understand these processes. And I think what happens is everyone just says, oh, they were under hypnosis and they said it. Well, that doesn't make it true. That is what they said. It doesn't mean they were lying, but it doesn't make it a fact. So thank you for writing about that, and that's really all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Donna.
All right.
Thanks, Donna. Let's hear what he has to say about that.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks.
Yes, that's a very interesting angle on Dr. Simon. I bet it was interesting to talk to him about it personally, because I have been informed and have cited where he was treating trauma. He was not conducting an investigation. He was attempting to treat trauma. And Donna sounds like she's certainly a credit to her industry. I usually don't even try to go into the different purposes that I've learned from studying people that are qualified to write and talk about it, that I've learned hypnosis has, and non-ordinary states of consciousness. And as a memory retrieval tool is a vastly outdated and obscure aspect of what therapists can do with different activities that induce non-ordinary states of consciousness. And as Donna so responsibly mentioned, it certainly is not, the mental imagery that's induced is certainly not to be taken as indicative necessarily of any kind of objective reality. It's for therapeutic purposes. And pretty much the UFO community just went off the rails with the whole topic. It was much more understandable 20, 30, 40 years ago than it is for our elder community members to continue this practice now and to continue advocating and preaching it. And the UFO community generally stays at least 20 years behind the rest of the scientific community, if not 50 in the case of hypnosis. And in the 1990s, we, of course, had, and there's scientific papers written on this, we had hypnosis used as a memory tool by therapists, and a lot of innocent people were accused of things that they hadn't done, and it pretty much lost its use among mainstream therapists after all of that fallout. And we're in the UFO community, we just ignore that any of that happened and just don't incorporate it in any of our presentations or discussions. And good for Donna for having waivers and telling people what they're getting into. And that's something that, if there's any one thing I could really emphasize, it would be that if you go to a therapist, or much less someone in the UFO community that's not a therapist and is an author or something else, that you're really not even sure why they're interested in you or your case, it's really important to clarify up front what you're seeking. Identify it for yourself. What is it you want? What do you hope that this person or this organization can help you with? Identify it for yourself and then clarify it and ask them what they're doing and see if your objectives are compatible, because when we look back at what's happened in some of these cases, it's pretty clear they weren't.
Now, one thing I have to comment on about the mainstream science, I like the scientific method. I think if it's actually used purely, that's how